I have joining me today our commissioners, Norm Jones, who's the commissioner of the Department of Environmental Services, Commissioner Gary Kirkmeyer, who's Commissioner of Neighborhood and Business Development, our Corporation Counsel, Tim Curtin, as well as our legal attorney, Stephanie Prince, and Justin Roy from our Communications Department. I am thankful for all those that were able to join us. We sent out a number of notices, and I will ask Gary to share how people were notified about this particular event. But we always believe that it's very important to make sure that the community is adequately informed about any particular area and any particular development that the city is working on. And we know that we have a lot of people, and excited that we have a lot of people that are doing some great work in the Beechwood area, as well as the Goodman Plaza area. I just had an opportunity to go with Commissioner Kirkmeyer as well as Thad Schofield over to 441 Ministries and really sit down and talk to the developers there and the outreach folks there, and just really excited about all the opportunities that are coming to the community and that we're working on. But in particular tonight, we really want to focus on Goodman Plaza and just make sure that everyone has the appropriate information, and we want to make sure that you also know that the city is here to be as transparent and assist you with any information or questions that you have. That has always been my top priority, taking care of you and your families. And so I am going to turn this over to Commissioner Jones, who is going to talk a little bit about Goodman Plaza, the history there, and also we will be prepared to answer any questions that you may have after he goes through his slideshow, and he will turn it over to other members of our team. We don't intend to keep everyone long, but we will answer any questions that you may have in the chat as we proceed. So please write your questions in the chat if you have any, based on the information that we're providing. Commissioner Jones.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor. And good evening, folks who have joined in as participants. A brief history of the site. This site was a stone quarry from 1880 up until approximately 1919. The quarry closed with fill materials, including municipal solid waste or refuse. Other historic uses of the site included a blacksmith shop, a forest and greenhouses, a gasoline station, auto repair station, a motor freight station with an associated repair shop, and as always, a dry cleaner. We see that in many city locations, a car wash, and various Goodman Plaza retail stores from approximately 1955 to present. The next slide, please. Well, go back to that slide briefly. As you can see, the slide that's in black and white, that is the site at which the quarry was and what's going on as a rock quarry. And then on the side that's in color, which is a site plan, basically gives you the actual footprint and the boundary of where the Goodman Plaza is now and where the quarry outline was in the 1880s that closed in the 1900s. I mean, in the 1919. The property information, the site size is approximately 13.7 acres. Its zone is a C2. The current assessed value is about $1.17 million. The current use is a retail strip plaza, freestanding retail stores and associated parking lots and driveways and vacant land. The former owners of interest include private owners, and at least a portion of the site was owned by the city of Rochester. The current owner is JR Real Estate. Improvements 804 North Goodman is basically 10,100 square foot, one-story masonry building. And the date of that construction was in 1995. At 810 to 846 North Goodman, there's a 67,000 square foot building, one story, and it has multi-tenants, and it's a masonry structure, and it's a retail building, and the date of that construction was in 1960. And then there's a Save-A-Lot store, which is approximately 22,960 square feet, a one-story, single-occupant masonry retail store, and that was constructed in 1960 also. And then at 21 Ackerman Street, there was basically no information associated with that. There's no structures there. So the actual sites that we're looking at is 804 North Goodman Street, 810 to 846 North Goodman Street, and 21 Ackerman Street. And like I said earlier, the past site uses of interest is relatively large, multi-acre stone quarry from 1988 until 1920. And the other historical uses were blacksmith shops, florists, greenhouses, a gas station, automobile repair, a motor freight station with associated repair shop, a dry cleaner, and from at least 1959 until 1985, a car wash, and the various Goodman Plaza retail stores. In 2020, we did a phase 1 ESA, that's an environmental assessment, which involved the review of historic records and data, interviews, and exterior inspection of the site. The phase 2 report identified and recognized environmental conditions based upon historic uses of the property, including the filling in of the former rock quarry. The phase 1 ESA report conditions of concern associated with the former commercial land uses which may have used, stored, or disposed of hazardous substance or petroleum products. This is common for urban land. Next slide. The surface soil. The surface soil is an area in which the St. John Fisher class went out and did some sampling. And the city retained our own consulting firm to look at the actual sampling that occurred from St. John Fisher. St. John Fisher used undergraduate students to do the analysis that lacks information about the quality control measures, rendering results somewhat unreliable. We retained Stantec, which is a highly regarded international environmental firm, engineering firm that has offices here in Rochester. And based on the information provided, it appears that the St. John Fisher students analyzed the soil samples, and it is not identified as an accredited New York State Department of Health NISDOT environmental laboratory approved program laboratory that did the results. The information reviewed also indicated that the surface soil samples collected at the neighborhood properties were collected by students. And the reports provided do not describe the qualifications, experience, and training of the students who collected the samples. Environmental site assessment samples should be collected by persons with training and experience to ensure that they are collected in accordance with standards and with standard environmental sampling and sampling handling procedures. No information related to the quality control measures, sample locations, field collection methods, qualifications of personnel, sample chains of custody, laboratory qualifications, and analytical methodologies were present. Furthermore, the metal impacts in surface soils are common in residential urban neighborhoods And Stantec concluded that the neighborhood surface soil sample data is unlikely to be reflected or representative of potential environmental concerns associated with the presence of subsurface fill material present in the former quarry located at the Goodman Plaza site. One of the areas of concern that we're looking at as a future state is to formalize and have a rigorous subsurface soil testing that is, and this is particularly done in the phase 2 analysis. So this is not really part of a phase 1 site assessment. Next slide, please. The next steps, the city will be proceeding with additional environmental testing, including a phase 2 environmental testing on nearby properties and perimeter city-owned properties. The city's final phase 2 environmental reports are anticipated to be completed by the end of 2021. This is a very rigorous testing protocol, and we are in the process of working out the actual details and contract documents to make sure that this happens in accordance to establish testing practices. The concern was earlier that we were trying to gain approval from the actual property owner to do testing on that site, and they've indicated that they had other concerns, basically on the subject of the city approaching the property owner regarding the conducting a phase 2 on their site. We have spoken with them, and they are exploring redevelopment of the plaza, including conducting their own environmental due diligence. So that's where we stand. It's a quick update on where we're at. We're committed to doing the phase 2. We're working out the actual contract deliverables with our consulting engineering firms, which is a normal process for dealing with environmental hazardous sites, that potentially environmentally hazardous sites.
Thank you, Commissioner Jones. That information has been very helpful. We just wanted to make sure that the community was able to know that a phase 1 has been done. The city had Stantec do that. We also are in the process of looking at phase 2 and getting a phase 2 done. I inadvertently did not introduce Ann Spalding. When I introduced the team, we want to make sure that I do that. She is our environmental quality specialist and just an expert at her job in the Department of Environmental Services, and really has done a great job for the city of Rochester when it comes down to not only ensuring that we are being a cleaner, greener city, but that we're doing all that we can to preserve our environment for the next generation. I want to introduce Commissioner Kirkmeyer, who also who's from the Neighborhood and Business Development team, who will talk about the redevelopment. As I indicated earlier, Goodman Plaza is an area that currently is undergoing some changes. I know that the owner is looking forward to redeveloping, and there's a lot that's happening, of course, with Connected Communities and 441 Ministries and others in the Beechwood neighborhood. And we're thankful to the Beechwood Neighborhood Association for their leadership and their partnership. But we wanted to make sure that we get the accurate information out to all of the residents as we proceed and move forward. So Commissioner Kirkmeyer.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. So just to give you a little glimpse of what's coming, right down the pipe here with development in this direct area. Not only do we have the Connected Communities project and effort, we plan on trying to get that rezoning to City Council in July. And then all of the partner developers that are working with Connected Communities are lined up to try to come in and secure control of the properties they plan on developing. We're in contact with the owner of the Goodman Plaza. It's a little early to have a conversation about what's planned there, but there are some tentative plans to redevelop a portion of that parcel. And, as the mayor alluded to, citywide development is just, it's blooming in our city, and it's not slowing down anytime soon. With the Mayor's Buy the Block program, we intend to increase our owner occupancy and try to, do that in a new construction environment while partnering with our land bank to do it additionally in a rehab format. So there's lots of opportunities coming down the pike. This area, like most areas in the city, is under a really aggressive development, and there's going to be some really good times ahead. Back to you, Mayor.
Commissioner Kirkmeyer. And so we may answer, we have our legal team here as well as both our commissioners and of course, Ann Spalding to answer any questions that you may have in the chat. We just wanted to basically have this information session to update you on where the city is currently on this particular project at Goodman Plaza. But I want to alert you that this is not the only meeting that we have going on for this particular corridor in this area. Of course, we all know that the city is currently in a process of redeveloping, and East Main Street is under construction right now. Thank you to all those residents that are bearing with us during that construction season. There is property on East Main Street that we had slated for a municipal building. Our planning team will be coming back to the residents to talk about that particular land, and Highland Planning is the team that's going to be leading that. We want to make sure that everyone that wants to be engaged in that process, of course, are engaged, and that we have the adequate information. Tomorrow, we're doing a town hall meeting, a telephone town hall, to talk about the ARPA funds, which is the American Rescue Funds. And the city was allotted $203 million over a 2-3 year period. These dollars are to be used, of course, to not only deal with the revenue loss that we experienced during the pandemic, but also we want to be able to use these dollars for transformative development. If you have not been to www.cityofrochester.gov/ARPA, we encourage you to go and fill out the survey, or to join us tomorrow on a teletown hall meeting. That information, we will, our team that's heading that up will be calling you. There also are going to be, we announced today, there's a lot happening at the R Center and the library, School 33 and the school in the area this summer. And so we have opportunities for children to be involved and to get the support and assistance that they need, and for us to be able to re-engage with them after the pandemic. And so if there are any questions, I'm not seeing any questions in the chat. This meeting was just to provide an update on the Goodman Plaza, let you know that we have done a phase 1. There were some things discovered from the environmental past. We are in the process of doing a phase 2, and that phase 2 is slated to be finished by hopefully the end of the year. We continuously work with the Goodman Plaza owner, who has their own environmental folks that's looking at this and has some other ideas for development that they are looking at bringing on as well. And as these particular developments continue to come forward, we will provide an update to you as well. Commissioner Kirkmeyer, there was some concern about who and how people were informed about this meeting. So if you have a chance to just talk about that, just so people are aware of how that process went.
Sure, thanks, Mayor. So to start things off, we took our notification system that we have, and we drew a perimeter around 1,000 feet, everybody that was within 1,000 feet of the Goodman Plaza footprint. And all of the residents of those locations got notifications via mail. And then, our service centers reached out to community leaders to try to educate them about the opportunity to come tonight and try to push that message out to others. So it was important for us to get the message to all the people that were in close proximity to the plaza. We used 1,000 foot perimeter. I think that was over 900 properties or so, and letters went out last week to all those residents.
We do have a comment in the chat about making sure that residents have advance notice. The Beechwood Neighborhood Coalition was not alerted to this meeting until yesterday afternoon. And so as we proceed, even though, Gary, we do 1,000-foot radius, is it possible to make sure that we notify all the neighborhood associations that are contiguous to the plaza, even if they're not within that 1,000-foot radius?
Yeah, absolutely. And that was not a common occurrence. We would have got that information out right away to our community leaders, and will do so moving forward. So we apologize that that was late in the process, but that's not the typical process and the typical way that we relay information to our leaders.
So we thank the Beechwood neighborhood for being able to join us. We apologize that we were not given, you were not given the information ahead of time. In the future, we will make sure that you are adequately informed and given enough time to inform and let your neighbors know about the area and the development that's happening and how this matter is proceeding. Even though they looked at the 1,000-foot radius and they should have expanded that. Are there any additional questions or thoughts or concerns? All right, seeing none, thank you all for joining us this afternoon or this evening, I should say. Please have a good night, and we will make sure that we keep you informed as we proceed with the redevelopment and advancement of the environmental assessment in this particular area and any other matters that are being underway in the area. Again, please visit www.cityofrochester.gov/ARPA to tell us your thoughts on how we should spend the ARPA funds, or join us tomorrow at the Teletown Hall. The planning department through Highland Planning, who's our consultant, will be reaching out to all the neighbors in the East Main Street area. That includes the Emma area, as well as Peck Street and Beechwood and all of them, to engage on a municipal building that we're looking to put in the area. I'm still committed to doing that, and just want to make sure that we are doing what the neighbors in the community are looking for us to do. So please, everyone, have a good night. Thank you, team, for joining us this evening. Take care.
Thank you, Mayor.